we've got more games coming up tomorrow, but this will be our 6th of the day. Royal Never Give Up versus Samsung Galaxy, and right off the bat, Crown not allowed his victor.
Signature champion for Crown being removed this time around.
I love heat check champions, you know? He's so good on it domestically. Let's give it to him once at Worlds. Let's get rid of that.
Let's just ban it for now. Don't want to deal with Crown on that one. But Crown has a lot of other champions. I've seen people question his champion pool, but from following him in solo queue, doing the bootcamp, he's been practicing so many different picks. A lot of the meta champions definitely are available for him. Also showed the Varus yesterday. I understood the strategy they were going for, but I think Samsung drafted 2 weak laners, you know, too much late game. You can't do the same against RNG. They will come swinging out of the gate and they will create plays across the map.
And Royal Never Give Up hoping to pinch onto the Nidalee. We'll actually get that as the Ezreal is banned away from Uzi, and I think this is the expected first pick, and it will be locked in.
Very surprising you ban Ezreal here last, because that could have been a power pick for Samsung. They already picked Ezreal in first rotation during this tournament, and when you leave up something like Nidalee, you expect the other team to take it. Leave up other power picks for yourself to grab in first rotation, but it seemed like they valued the Jhin above it.
And they also have left open arguably RNG's favorite duo anyway in something like a Caitlyn and a Braum that can stifle a lot of the aggression.
And you're going to give Mata a Nami again if he wants it, which is a good pick against the Karma. So RNG can still draft a very, very strong 2v2 lane. Obviously, that means Karma can go mid lane for Crown. He's played it before, but that puts a lot of focus on Ruler as the main carry.
It's interesting though, because I feel like this support pool is influenced by the rest of the metagame, where 80% of the top laners we're seeing are Rumble and Kennen, these big area of effect magic damage dealers. Well, what do you do against that? How about bring a bunch of area of effect shields, bring a Karma, buy a Locket, hit R, self-cast the E, and try to block that damage out. And it seems like it's part of the reason this champion's so highly prioritized, when you know Looper's going to be happy to play a mage up there.
And you know, correctly called, Nami gets locked in, so one more time we're going to see a bully lane come out of RNG. Ooh. You feel that it will be the Caitlyn
Another one!
Whoa.
Instantly grabbed as well. Ryze in the mid lane for Crown.
And you thought you could bring Cleanse against the Ryze Elise combo. Well, that Cleanse won't do a whole lot when you add in a Skarner. This is a combination that in the mid lane can just ruin your day completely. One Skarner hit level 6. That's a flash engage onto someone like Xiohu, and he will die because Ryze, as we talked about before, 1v1, he can deal insane DPS, have Skarner to keep the person in check, and Ryze will kill him.
But one more time, poke comps have been very successful. You've got the Caitlyn, you've got Jayce, Nidalee, and then the 2 disengage options. I love when Cassiopeia sits on top of her carries. She can just stop any aggression that is coming from the top. From straight on, and unless they get a big flanking top lane here, something like a Kennen for CuVee is going to be nigh impossible for Samsung to engage onto this RNG lineup.
But once again, we have this situation where Ryze is picked, but with a losing side lane already here, Jhin Karma against Uzi and Mata on Caitlyn Nami will not be an easy bot lane for Samsung. They can pick the Kennen top, but Jayce can definitely win that matchup as well. So RNG, if they play well in the side lanes, we might have the same situation as when we had SKT versus Aimee, where the Ryze might be doing fine in the mid lane, but he looks to the left and to the right, and he sees 2 lanes under fire.
And one more time, you see a huge invading jungle coming in against a Skarner, who pretty much is a sitting duck pre-6 in these matchups. Nidalee going to be able to come into his house, take all of his belongings, and get out quite easily just because of the increased mobility there. So a lot of pressure on Ambition Crown to be able to shove up mid lane and try and get into the side lanes to help out the other members.
Exactly. Unless your mid lane actually gets to move first, you are going to be prey for mlxg's Nidalee here. It's going to be difficult. So a lot of weight put onto Crown's shoulders in this Ryze, but it's the second time we've now seen Ryze picked into Cassiopeia. And if those lanes do look okay, you come into the mid game and you've got Realm Warp, you've got the Mantra shields, you've got a Skarner for assassination, you've got Kennen teleport flanks, you've got the Jhin ultimate. Every single person on this roster has a way to start the engage, to get onto that poke comp.
So much pick potential. So much pick potential from Samsung, but the problem with pick comps is once they start falling behind, getting that one pick is very, very difficult because you don't have proper vision on the map, you don't have proper setup. Samsung cannot fall too far behind if they want to execute this composition.
And one more time, you know, they can just run out of damage that little bit if they can't get the snowball rolling, because Kennen, if he falls behind, does become quite useless.
Well, we'll see how it's going to go. No tanks on the Royal Never Give Up lineup, but it's still going to be a very tight game. So now weigh in with which squad is going to do it. Tweet to @LOL Esports. Use the hashtag RNGWin or hashtag SSGWin. Right now, Royal are in control of the group. They're 2-0. They could end the first week with a perfect record. Samsung sitting at 1-1, hoping to reach up to where TSM and Royal are sitting right now with 2 wins. See if they can do it as we're into game 6.
Gotta start here by talking a little bit more about the comps. You said they could maybe run out of damage. Have to challenge that at least a little bit, because I think with 3 carries on the side of Samsung and 0 tanks, as Phreak just highlighted, on the side of RNG, late game team fights can become very hard for RNG to navigate with the amount of CC and damage on Samsung's side.
Yeah, completely agree now that I've seen that Mata didn't swap over to exhaust, because that's normally the response to Kennen.
It's all about the lane. RNG is focusing so hard on this early game. Boop.
Damage, plus 11. Better trade for Mata. CoreJJ going for the auto attack. It means almost nothing, but it actually made him go down 8 gold. Mata got more hits off.
You should do the sound for League of Legends a little bit more. I like the boop.
I don't know if that's really the sound it makes. I just like going boop. See, that one missed. There's no sound available for that one.
Smart.
Yeah. I am. Thank you. Glad you noticed. mlxg smart. He's sitting on the platform. Yeah.
Look at the pose.
I know, right?
So the Keystones. Nothing really standing out. I like Storm Raiders on Ryze a lot, because Ryze really is all about mobility, especially in the late game. Your main damage ability is your overload. It is a skill shot, which means if someone is in front of you, you don't want to hit. Well, sadly, you don't really have a choice unless you can move around him. So by having Ghost, having Storm Raiders, you get so much mobility. You can even get more yourself if you use Spell Flux and your Rune Prison into then an overload. So you actually get the 2 stacks first before you overload. You can once again get even more movement speed and a shield. Some damage from CoreJJ onto Mata and Uzi. They didn't get to do a camp, so they're coming down late here. They moved in to make sure that Samsung didn't do a camp. Didn't actually get to place any wards in the jungle. So now they are putting themselves slightly behind with the early push.
See how much more else can come through here. Right now seeing perfect CS from CuVee. Looper missing 2, but not the end of the world. Mata taking a bit of poke, but of course this is a healing lane from Royal Never Give Up. It would be very difficult. Uzi even has Warlord's Bloodlust to make sure that he's almost impervious to being chunked out.
The rush for level 2, though, is always super important in these double range lanes, because now you can see our Samsung's bot lane here. They can move forward, they can play more aggressive. When you're trading 1 level up, 1 extra ability is worth so much. This melee will go down, and level 2 for RNG will be in the house. And now you can even it out, but you took a bit of damage. No potion was used just yet.
Yeah, you have to say stickier damage on the side of RNG, however, because you know no Nami in that lane is only going to be a Karma. And I want to see at the pace of which these 2 junglers are able to play around, as xiohu actually takes a lot of punishment from Crown.
Crown would make some nice plays here on this one and, you know, dodging away. The really big thing is that Cassiopeia must land poison to get any decent damage out of her Twin Fang, and those are skill shots that can be dodged. Crown just presses EWQ, gets a shield for it, undodgeable damage, and look at the trade. Of course, Crown's about out of mana now, but it is pretty easy to fight as Ryze.
Yeah, it's 2 mages. When they do trade aggressively, they run out of mana very quickly, and they want to go back and get a tier and just keep doing what they're doing right now. This constant 1v1 trading. Limited AoE damage on both of these, especially when we look at later team fights. It's picking 1 target and finish that 1 target.
I love watching mlxg at this stage of the game, because, you know, he didn't fight for bottom lane control. Instead, he times the Krugs, gets a perfect invade, takes over Scuttle Crab, and maybe, just maybe, I don't want to say it, he'll throw Looper a bone up in the top lane.
No. You can see his character, as soon as he gets close to top lane, will just turn around and move him further down the map.
What a bad time to gank, I mean.
Yeah, I mean, you could only, you know, throw in a spear over the wall, probably force the flash, but ganking top lane, if you are RNG, rarely happens.
mlxg really wanted to fight Ambition, and with Ryze out of mana, can't help at all. mlxg getting control over this large raptor.
And this is one of the tough things if you are a Skarner, trying to duel early on. You want to duel on your Crystal here, but that's now been stolen away. Ambition.
And mlxg has smite advantage.
Trying.
It's low enough, it's his.
Yeah, he has the smite now. Ambition does not, so he might have to just surrender this one.
Nicely done by mlxg. Gets away a lot of gold and XP.
Ambition, though, is he's one of the guys who played Skarner before it was cool, before everyone else started doing it. Now here at Worlds, already in the playoffs, he pulled it out and actually managed to get a win with it.
Sure. Then you can play with a
the gauntlet, just correct.
Sure. I mean, with an organization made of Cloud Templar, why would you not? I mean, really, just whoop. Bit of root there, all gonna be okay.
And you see the trade is relatively equal, but already Uzi has got himself a 10 CS advantage down in that bottom lane after losing out on the push early. Now you can see Marta, Uzi pushing up nice and aggressively. That's 2 CS I've seen him miss on my screen, however.
Yeah, but he's up 41-20.
But this now translates further than just the lane. We see more trading in mid lane, but what should happen is RNG should seize control of the enemy blue buff because they have a pushing bot lane, so Marta can always move up first. And fighting over blue buffs is so important for these mid laners who are using so much mana when it comes to trading.
Ooh, mlxg spotted, gets the shield, runs away, and Crown, yep. And again, he's choosing to go EWQ for the shield. Now Uzi flashing away. The chase, the exhaust, the stun's gonna land, and can they get him? Yes! First blood comes through for Ambition. Samsung in the lead.
Great target prioritization out of Samsung, although now they have to disengage. 2 members coming down.
Here it comes. mlxg, no CC to speak of. Does get the javelin. CoreJJ, the flash, the heal bait, the outplay. 2 kills for Samsung's jungler.
Oh, such a good start now for Samsung. It looked pretty bad at first. They were getting pushed in. They were losing the bottom lane. They were waiting for blue buff to spawn. But then a good gank from Ambition, and RNG, they tried to get something, tried to get some revenge. Backfired. And now giving away a 2nd kill.
And you have to say, you know, great target prioritization going on to Uzi here because they know they can turn around afterwards and burn the summoner spells of Marta regardless, who was already out of mana. And this is just really greedy out of RNG. They wanted to get something back. They don't like losing the early game. The summoner spell still available means that RNG overreaches.
Actually wasn't in range for the pounce, so he W'd without the extra range, then had to flash for an EQ. Didn't get the W damage.
And Ruler still had heal ready.
Yep.
Used it just in time, baiting mlxg. 2 early kills for Samsung, exactly what they need. RNG obviously have had a game where they snowballed early and had a game where they actually fell behind, but they managed to bounce back from some fantastic team fights. They were started by Marta and Alistar though. You can't do the same on Nami, so the same playmaking potential isn't there for RNG later in the game. Because Marta really was the MVP of that one game where he managed to consistently find double lift and win team fights for his team.
And there's nothing like 2 extra kills onto a jungle Skarner to even out the tempo of a bad jungle matchup.
Oh, he's level 6 now.
With the Chilling Smite, this seems useful.
Yeah, I guess either you go top and you take down the Jayce, or maybe you take the one in mid lane. Only problem for Ambition is the lack of flash right now, but if someone is overextending, you can rush in there and actually pick them off. It is so easy for Skarner once he has that ulti.
Yep. Oh, blue buff to Xiohu. Ambition right now 700 gold over anyone else in the game last time I checked, which was 5 seconds ago, so that's probably still true. A very rich Skarner. See how much more pressure he can have, again, with that Impale available.
Yeah, this is where certain things snowball even further, because now this blue buff is alive from Samsung. They can start it. Give it over to the Ryze, so he evens out what happens in mid, and he doesn't have to run out of mana. That means you don't actually get to win the matchup as hard if you're RNG. Had they not been killed in the bottom lane, they would still have had pressure in that bottom lane. They could have moved up with Marta, moved in with mlxg, and stopped this blue buff from going over to Crown. Instead, because of the 2 kills bottom lane, Crown gets it, and now evens out what's happening in the mid lane.
You know, on top of that, what was looking like a very ugly shot for Ruler first up would have gone back and had to pick up multiple longswords. He actually gets a pretty good first buy in here against Uzi. Now more damage.
Root means he can go for the snipe. Lands 1, dodges 1. The other 2 shots tanked up by Mata, who feels durable enough to deal with it. mlxg removes the Tri-Brush ward, so now Samsung are playing without as much vision as before. So Ambition comes down to make sure they're safe, replaces the ward, and they can assume mlxg went down to the bottom side.
And RNG really want to just keep pushing this bottom lane. You play Nami Cait, you know the mid game for Caitlyn is not the strongest, especially not compared to a Ghostblade AD carry who is such a strong mid game spike. So Samsung have been able to shut down that bottom lane. It's really put them in a great position to transition out of the laning phase into mid game and just have a massive AD carry advantage. As long as the other lanes don't fall further behind, they're going to be great. And right now, Kennen is winning top. Ryze is even in the mid lane with the Cassiopeia, so it's looking really, really good for Samsung.
Definitely got to agree with this one. 1,000 gold lead, but here's mlxg playing for a nice one. Of course, Rift Scuttle can't see that far into the pit. They have no idea he's doing it.
And two really smart wards over the back side of the pit in the banana brush as well as, you know, just below it to make sure that there is no vision as he pounces over the wall. Going to be able to execute that one down. Pop back over. That's actually a really cute play against the flow. Yeah, it was a bottom lane, you know, that couldn't push up because of lack of summoner spells.
Really nicely done. mlxg infusing some extra stats into his team here, and with a very high damage team, that extra AD, extra AP going to mean a lot.
And I think in this game we're going to see Crown go for the more optimal early game build where he goes tier into Morello and Nomicon instead of the Rod of Ages. Wants some more instant power coming in. Doesn't need to wait for the scaling. Gets again the same amount of mana. So you can actually play very, very aggressive. Will be a little bit squishier.
Ooh, this is dangerous.
Actually waiting around the wings. Nice pickup on the Wolves. Gets the whole camp and Ambition forced out.
Yeah, we have to remember as well, mid lane was pushed in by Crown. So he could actually move very, very quickly. Can even use his ulti over some of the walls to react. So RNG actually couldn't really collapse on Ambition. He knows when to move in, when to back away. And it's small things as a jungler, like the way you get an advantage often over the other junglers, but stealing away some of the camp. It's rare you get in there and you actually kill him in his own jungle.
Do you want to talk about the item build of Ambition here, by the way? Talked with Crumbs a day or two ago about Skarner builds, and he said, yeah, Warrior Skarner makes sense if you've got a kill, so you can snowball it. Kind of gave me the impression that you'd normally go for Cinderhulk to be a bit tankier as the big frontliner. But it's a 2-kill Skarner, so yeah, Warrior gets some damage, try to knock some people down.
There's been a lot of different builds, honestly. Ambition before has also gone like Trinity Force, but I don't like that. That's way too risky to go for as a Skarner. I think going Warrior into tank is the best. You get enough damage for early skirmishes and early ganks. You have Chilling Smite, obviously, already picked up, and now you just need to be a frontline. Deadman's Plate is a great item for Skarner. Rushes even faster in to catch someone, so definitely not surprised to see this, and a lot of Skarners will go for Warrior and Chant.
But I do like that it's not one size fits all, because at the same time, if you do want to have control over neutrals, with, you know, those Spires as well as the Trinity Force, Skarner auto attacks and takes down those incredibly efficiently. So, you know, if you're going for that big mid-game spike, I can understand where a 2-item Skarner can help that out. However, you do need things like, you know, maybe a mid-lane Karma to be able to give you that big shield. So I understand in this game he's probably going to go towards the tank.
Spoke a little bit too soon about the Crown build as well. He decided to go for the Rod of Ages. Fair enough, don't blame him. Again, the HP is definitely very, very good.
Every time.
It's one of the things, you know, between playing solo queue maybe and playing competitive.
Sure.
Getting that extra survivability counts so much. You have enough damage already. You have your team to back you up. And when you have the coordination, you know, when you 2 seconds snare someone, your team follows up and kills them with you. So getting extra survivability definitely still has a lot of value. And I don't think there's a right or wrong, 100%.
Agree with you on that one, but Ambition able to get his own red buff, and we've been seeing glimpses of the bottom lane here where Ruler and CoreJJ have been able to pretty much consistently shove Uzi and Mata into the turret and actually get some pretty sticky damage onto that bottom lane. Now, Uzi's so mechanically good, he's still getting all the last hits, and props to him for all the gold he's accruing. I mean, a great clip here on this Caitlyn, despite even having a death. And now gets a you know, nice recall, has money for more than a Zeal, but either way, it's Samsung able to really withstand one of the best bottom lanes in this tournament of Uzi and Mata.
Yeah, one more time, you just have to credit the fact that Ambition was able to get in there pre-level 6 with a clutch gank to bring that lane back, because it was very much snowballing out of control at that stage. So, you know, credit to Ruler and CoreJJ, but also Ambition being able to play around that side of the map.
It's very interesting now that we had a few games. You know, all the games we've casted actually so far have had fairly slow pace early into early mid games. One of the reasons, obviously, some of the junglers being picked, you know, there's a farming jungler or like a pressure jungler on the side of Nidalee, and there's the Skarner who wants to farm up to level 6 before anything happens. Really want to gank with flash up as well to be super effective with the ganks. It's made the games, you know, slow down a little bit because so much of this meta is built around the jungler. Where the jungler goes, you follow, and if it's invades, if it's ganks, you know, the jungler really impacts so much. And because Elise has not been here, you know, we haven't seen Elise in the last few games either. It has slowed down the games a little bit. Slowed down the games, you know, and the teams have kind of waited for 1 or 2 items before we get these big fights. And obviously for RNG, they would love to play faster, but they can't because that bot lane gank happened and it evened out the 2v2.
Yeah, really, all these lanes are in holding patterns as far as Royal Never Give Up is concerned. Good farm or not, you've got plus 11 for the top laner, CuVee having himself a good matchup, but I don't believe we've had really any intervention on this top lane at all. It's just the heads-up matchup. They saved the Kennen pick for later, locked it in, up into the Jayce.
Oh, Ruler, this is risky.
Small advantage. Now the tidal wave gonna come in. Ruler gonna get knocked into the air, flashes the bubble afterwards, even jukes away, but now Cassiopeia has joined the fray. That's gonna be enough damage. Looper steals it away. Teleported in to land the shock blast. And now they look for the bot lane turret.
Yeah, now they have to crack the bot lane because, you know, that's a big investment. Flash, double summoner spells burnt on xiohu, teleport out of Ruler. So if they don't really make this one count, definitely is counterplay still out of Samsung.
And such a big mistake from Ruler here, just walking up the river. He had no one around him really. CoreJJ was very far back and couldn't save him. Ruler stepping close to try and pick up that crystal, and then suddenly RNG collapse instantly. They pick. There's QSS.
Immediate QSS, but they've got the rune prison afterwards. They've got the damage, you think? He tries to heal up the flash to Jayce, and finally the damage comes through. xiohu lived much longer than expected, but the kill does come through. Meanwhile, RNG have already knocked down that bot lane under turret. They got the first credit on this one. mlxg gonna tank up the shots as more turrets are traded back and forth. Top lane and mid lane outer killed off by Samsung, but 2 bot lane turrets here for Royal Never Give Up.
Big collapse coming out. Teleport in from the Kennen.
Ooh, they want to surround this. Snipes on the Ruler. He's going to lose his life for that one. Great turnaround there by RNG. 2 to 3 now in kills, but CuVee is still behind. How much can be gained? The whole squad's here.
8 members in the bottom lane. Ambition is going in his QA.
The in gets stunned on the 2. A lot of damage on the Uzi, who tries to lifesteal tank it, forces out CuVee, and they get the 1-for-1 so far. The battle continues. Ambition forced out, running for dear life, and Looper actually, I think, hit the wrong target with the Thundering Blow on the backside, but the chase still coming in for CoreJJ. Couple more auto attacks out of Mana Crown, not able to get CC, forcing the flash, though, out of Mata.
And somehow, against the flow, RNG able to pick off Ruler first with great target prioritization, then isolate and take down CuVee, who dived into the backline.
Yeah, been some bad minutes for Ruler here, getting caught up before this fight even started. Nice Kennen ulti, and Uzi managed to stay alive with the heal, the lifesteal as well, and does manage to take down the Kennen. And they end up trading very even. Looper doesn't manage to pick up the kill.
I don't think it would have killed him regardless, and it did get rid of a member that was trying to chase him quite heavily, so I don't mind the target selection, or he's just an incredibly lucky man.
Could have been important. Yeah, it could have been on purpose.
But this man right here on your screen, Ruler, he's the man we're looking at. Got caught in the river. Got caught before the fight even started. He was walking down alone to join a team that were flanking on RNG, and they just turn around and kill him instead. Meaning that RNG actually get out. Stay even in gold.
Yeah.
Dragon is being started. I think they're okay giving this one away because that was a very risky play before, and they could have lost way more.
And the prioritization on Air Drake in the LPL region is not the highest at the moment. So, you know, they're happy to give that one up. They're looking for maybe an advantage on the top side of the map. You can see Looper, xiohu, mlxg all moving up there. Need to make sure they don't lose too much mid lane priority here, however.
I do think Cloud Drake actually means a lot, though, when there's a Skarner in the game. If RNG has it, they can practically just outrun his W and just never be in range of anything and not get caught out. They've got to make sure they attack Ambition, and he does go looking for someone.
My choices are not the LPL's choices.
Of course.
I completely agree with you on this one.
I wouldn't be an NALCS cast without pimping out Cloud Drake and saying that it's one of my favorites.
Europe also hates it, so I guess me and Spawn together against you, Phreak. And the entire audience and everyone in North America, basically.
Fair to say, not the right place to pick that fight.
I think we're going to lose it.
If only Jat were here, he would believe in me. And that's okay.
I remember still walking into the office and you guys just attacked
we still believe
all the European casters to explain how good Cloud Drake was.
We thought we could convince you. You were more pig-headed than I believed, so.
And you brought so many friends as well. Like, you were like 4 guys just surrounding us.
I mean, Zyrene's on your side. He actually thinks it's bad too, but.
It's not bad. Okay. It is definitely not bad. It is actually a fine Drake. Fine piece of Drake.
Okay. Well, we have a 300 gold lead right now. Actually, make that 1,300 gold lead as Crown managed to solo push down the bot lane and knock down a turret.
Big into top lane.
Yep, careful for CuVee. Slowed down, dodging what he can, but he's still going to run out of health pretty rapidly. Gets a bit of a stun, doesn't even matter. That's going to be a top lane turret going down quickly.
And that was happening, like, you know, whilst an entertaining conversation was Cloud Drake, it was happening. Samsung fighting very heavily around bottom side of the map, trying to get control, as you can see from all the wards they've placed in RNG's jungle. RNG doing the exact same on the top side of the map. The difference is that RNG don't go down to defend. CuVee unfortunately burns ultimate and dies. Yeah,
classic mistake. A lot of top laners have done it before. Your team is getting the bot lane tower, and you're like, I could stay for one more wave.
Mata.
No, you can't. Mata.
Looking for a sniper cross, puts on the tidal wave, but not in time. Ruler lands the 2 ultis that he needed, grabs it. Samsung able to answer a kill back now, temporarily 5v4, and they get a little bit of bottom jungle control with it.
I like how we're seeing like these small picks happening. You know, top laner dies, now support dies on the side of RNG. Small things happening. We're 20 minutes into the game. Samsung still with a slight advantage. And honestly looking pretty good. We're in this mid game now where the Jhin with the Ghost Blade is really, really strong. You can start looking for these picks. And remember this pick composition of Skarner ulti, 2-second Rune Prison from the Ryze, Snare as well from a Jhin. Like, you have so many ways of locking down just one guy from RNG.
And it's also heavily around vision control, because they didn't have control of that side of the map, and Mata was trying to get it back, but in the LPL, mid laners very rarely go over to sweeping or even the side trinket, because they're responsible for a lot more of the warding than what the jungler is. One of the rare games that mlxg has actually picked up trackers, generally likes a red smite on some of these picks.
And now we get to see the 1-3-1 we wanted to see from IMA earlier today, but SKT just got so far ahead, won every single lane, and it wasn't possible. Now you actually get to see this Ryze sitting in the side lane. And no one on the side of RNG can actually 1v1 him. So he has full control, he has full pressure in that lane, and he can always push it first. Looper is hiding in the bush. He wants to try and catch a Yordle.
He is a level up right now, and that's Proto Belt down. Nothing to be gained. Was hoping he'd push farther. Here comes the attempt.
Are you a window shopper? Is it a bait?
Wow, immediately he says, hey, that's Pro. And now hoping to pull in his teammate, because here comes Ryze, but didn't want to flash to get the stun in. And now he's got to get away because xiohu's on the way, and thanks to Ghost and Cloudrick, gets out before any CC hits him.
Yeah, Crown wanted to get away from that real quick. Like, that never happened. Just goes out of there.
Jake.
No one saw that. That was a little bit of an oopsie from Samsung.
As soon as CuVee misses that, you almost even step out the ult. You're just like, you're on your own, buddy. Obviously, it has to complete it, otherwise they just turn around and kill poor CuVee. But this game has come very much into jockeying for position on the map. You can see both teams looking for the picks and trying to rotate it around. Interesting that the Siege comp really hasn't had a chance to set up yet. Maybe because the side waves haven't been set up enough, and Ryze has continued to be able to get down there, and they have to respond.
Yeah, we also have to remember, Jayce top lane in Siege comps is kind of odd to play him, because you want to have him in side lane because he's your teleport user, but you want to put him with your team to start sieging on these turrets. Problem is, because Samsung are able to set up side lane, you can see the Kennen.
The threat of ambition, mlxg had to flash away.
And it was because the Ryze had disappeared into Fog of War, and they have that ward down there. So as soon as mlxg realized his mistake, burns a summoner spell. Not ideal, but still disciplined play.
And now RNG got to group in mid lane. Not really committing anything just yet. Ruler gets to return, and they're not hard committing for it, so that kind of resets the map. Again, RNG has a pushing top lane, they have a pushing bot lane. If they just send the Ryze down to the bottom side, or the Kennen on the bottom side, they actually can split push. But these lanes are now gone all the way to tier 2 towers. You don't want to overextend without mid control. So now everyone just kind of resets. Nothing happens from the push. Samsung wants to split up in 3 lanes. RNG definitely does not want to split up in 3 lanes. They want to be together. They want to poke. And they can't do that if Samsung can always push inside lanes.
That's what they've been doing so far, and it's made it difficult for Royal Never Give Up to get back into this game. Samsung's held a small lead for almost this entire time at this point, looking for another play, sitting on a pink ward, and Infernal Drake up in 25 seconds.
Surprisingly, no Ryze out of the Nidalee. Roller became much more popular when the price was readjusted for junglers. It is easier to pick up now. But at the same time, I feel like for this siege to be successful, you can just throw spears at the creep waves as it's coming in, and Runic Echo is really good at bouncing that AoE slow. Then your Jayce chunks people out. I do like to see that combo with Nidalee Jayce. However, this time around, a little bit more scaling coming out. Whoa.
Yeah, that's the kind of damage these javelins can deal. And that's even without Sork Shoes. He's gone Mercury Treads for stun duration. Another poke out from Looper, putting Ruler to half. Nice dodge and a nice pickup. No threat on the Drake. Now Royal control mid lane. All 5 are there. They've got inside track there first. They're controlling the chokes. Ambition on one side, the rest of the team on the other. Looking for a bit of damage. xiohu gonna pop the QSS. Here comes CuVee into the back lines. It's several stuns, and Ruler's already got one. Hits Matza. He might burn down. He's gonna get him, actually. That's 2 already. Now Uzi caught up, exhausted, and dead. 3, make that 4 for 1 to Samsung.
And this is what happens when you don't have an exhaust against a Kennen that can dive your back line. You saw CuVee, even though he died, got so much damage out, and now Samsung start up the Baron.
Korean Kennens definitely deal way more damage than the rest we have seen today. What a great ulti, and yeah, you touched on it, no exhaust, but also this Pokemon getting flanked. They actually walked straight towards Ambition and just kind of got caught out. No way for RNG to suddenly kite. That's a Baron as well, and this RNG lineup, when they were unable to snowball the early game, and when Mata is not on a playmaker, they've not been able to do anything. What is xiohu doing here? Walking into meter range of Ambition, and now the Kennen just flies into the backline. This is a poke composition engaging in a full-on team fight and never really getting to do anything beforehand other than one big hit from the Jayce. Not enough.
xiohu even QSS'd early. He just got stunned up or had Ambition in melee range of him and was like, ah, QSS, and then just got impaled right afterwards. And Mata, yeah, no exhaust, no Aegis done either. They just didn't have the defenses for Kennen in the back line, and sometimes that's why the Korean Kennens do more damage.
Sometimes, I guess Mata is happy just reducing some of the healing from the refillable potion on the Kennen. That's about it for him with that summoner spell. No one else really cares about it. And that's a big, big issue for RNG. They actually had a fine setup in the mid lane to start poking, start landing some proper damage, but then you start walking into melee range of a Skarner, you QSS the first stun, well then you're gonna die.
2 out of the 3 lanes able to apply the Baron buff right now. CuVee did fall down before it was picked up, so not going to be able to have that one. However, you can see Crown exerting a lot of pressure in this mid lane. Ruler can join or just set up with the ulti because they have vision control right now. So RNG, next couple of minutes, very tense.
Looking for the play. CoreJJ walking in, lands a slow into the root from Ruler, and goodbye to xiohu! Ruler on a rampage, 4-2 and 4 has all the armor pen he needs. Snipe blocked by Ambition, didn't even take real damage thanks to his shields. This is going to be another turret going down. Samsung Galaxy 4-3 in this one, but now it's Looper looking for the big play onto CuVee, gets the auto attacks, and that's what he was hoping for all along, but maybe it's too little too late. Samsung Galaxy now on their way up, saying, hey, Jayce, let's avenge our fallen top laner. Ambition is on the hunt, and I don't know if there's much for him to do. Gonna land the snipe, there's the kill. Ambition on a rampage as well, 4-0 and 6. Only missed out on 1 kill all game.
A lot of people dying suddenly. Started in the mid lane with xiohu. He didn't flash the snare from the Jhin, and then he was an easy prey for Ambition. xiohu definitely been struggling in this game. Honestly, been struggling all split long, and we see it here. He's under pressure a lot. He walks into certain people. He got caught out here by a Jhin snare when he had flash ready. He's been dying a lot. Good response from Looper, but sadly, because there's no control in mid, he does get jumped after and dies as well. So Samsung's still in full control. And their carries are so fed. We looked at the Skarner before with the War Enchant. I actually didn't expect him to go Trinity Force, but he clearly felt so confident after getting 2 kills. And now when he got some tank items, he's just going to be a monster.
1 versus 2 against the bot lane. Would get the kill if not for the reinforcements coming in soon for Royal. A nice trap there for Uzi. And CuVee's teleport meant absolutely nothing. So that's not much gained there, but it's still complete control here for Samsung Galaxy. 5 kills up, 6,000 gold up. Looking to knock down the group favorites in RNG.
I mean, when you're second highest level in the game, you're pretty tanky anyway.
Build whatever you want.
Yeah, and he's farming up an absolute storm. You can see they have control over the Spires. He's just flying around Summoner's Rift right now, and this is a very good game out of Ambition, honestly. 4-0 and 6, 10 out of 11. Guys putting on a clinic.
Definitely been a good game for him and for the rest of Samsung, and RNG showing some of the things a lot of people feared we would see from this RNG lineup coming in when they didn't manage to do well early game. They've not been able to set up anything. And when they actually tried, they got caught out and died.
So Samsung just playing the control game. Baron buff times out. They've got a little while to play until the next objective. That's going to be an Infernal Drake, the 3rd of the game. Maybe Samsung will get 2 for themselves. And this makes everything so interesting. With Samsung looking to win this game, it means we'll have a 3-way tie for first heading into week 2. Group D going to be the first group to finish their sort of round 1 games. They're going to finish today, and we won't see them until next week. And now, who do you even guess gets out of this group?
Spice can get 3 wins, and then like, whoop.
But the thing is, they can. 2 of their games, they were so close to winning. They could have beaten Samsung. They definitely could have beaten TSM earlier today.
And that's a scary thing when you have such a close group. You know, if one team then loses to the guys who's down in the bottom, you might suddenly lose your chance of getting out. Obviously, every team here wants to get first place. We talked about this earlier. You want to avoid the SKTs, the Rocks Tigers, who are probably getting first place in their group in a potential quarterfinal. But now that these 3 teams are so close to each other, you might just have to settle for making it out of the group.
Sure.
And not demanding that first place, because RNG has definitely been outplayed in this game against a team who got destroyed yesterday.
All those sort of round-robin victories were not close. TSM took a shellacking from RNG. This game is firmly in Samsung's control, and TSM kind of crushed Samsung last time these teams played. So, you know, it could be record resistance, it could be just how well you played on the day, but next Saturday is when these teams will all pick their rematches, and that'll be fun when we play all of Group D's rematches. 7 days from now, but let's refocus onto this game. The Drake was picked up cleanly. Samsung Galaxy looking to keep that control here. Setting up now for Baron. Very nicely desynced in the respawn. A full minute and a half to play for the Vision game.
Yep, start setting up around Baron. We're looking at mlxg and Looper as two easy targets for this Skarner here. Hourglass won't help you if he jumps you and actually impales you straight away. You will die so quickly if you're mlxg. No QSS, of course, for Looper. So two targets for Ambition. You can just flash forward and grab one of them. And that makes it very, very scary if you're RNG, because you have to move these poke champions in towards a potential Baron. You have zero vision in the area. You don't really know where they're coming from. An instant flash forward and the jungler has you and you will die. So it's so difficult to play a poke comp when you have to contest these areas with zero vision in them.
And one more time, you just have to love the fact that when CuVee gets a very proactive top laner, how willing Samsung is actually to start up these fights. It's completely against the flow of what we saw in the first two games. Really just, I don't know, CoreJJ, they're allowed to pick Kennen when he's on the Summoner's Rift. I have no idea what it is, but looking very good in this game. And they did it on a blueprint that was based off the LPL as well. I mean, get down bottom lane early as they're pushing in, sub level 6, start the party up there. Uzi doesn't like it when people pick on his bottom lane.
They basically took a page out of EDG's book from the LPL final, where it's like, yeah, let's go bot lane again and again and again, 500 times, just keep going bot lane. Uzi Mata will push, gank them, put them behind. Ambition, looking for somebody to target.
The snipe coming across, he's bound mlxg. Nidalee gonna lose a lot of health. Gets the zone up in time and a shutdown. Uzi gets the pickup, but it's a trade of junglers. Here comes CuVee into the back line. A lot of low health bars, but Mata slinks out just barely alive.
Crown.
It's only been 1-for-1, but Crown gets the overload across, picks up that kill. So far, +1 to Samsung Galaxy, but missing their jungler means Baron is a risk, so instead they siege mid.
And one more time, CuVee just slices through the entirety of the RNG lineup.
Ooh, now they go for the threaten to make them run away from the turret, and that's enough to get the damage across. 4 versus 3, Crown hit by a double bubble. Here's the re-engage. Xiohu switches targets and instead loses his life. Ruler hoping to be a king. So far he is.
45 seconds on Uzi and Xiohu here. These two carries, they won't be back alive because Samsung, they're pushing for the turrets.
Royal never give up. Might have to in this one. 2 members alive. Moderate respawn timers. Turret number 1 is dead. Looper back in 8 seconds. CuVee dangerously low. He has teleport. He could heal up, but instead mlxg is caught out. It's Mata and Looper to hold on in this game as the Nexus is losing its life. The snipe gets one, but their health bars won't hold on long enough. The Nexus goes down. Samsung ties the group in first place.
And what a crazy group it is now. We see some of these teams gets absolutely destroyed, and then the next day, they show up big time. RNG showed why the game yesterday versus Splice is not what we should expect every single time from this team. They did outclass Splice and just destroyed them in the laning phase. They tried to do the same here against Samsung. Jayce top lane, Nami, Caitlyn in the bottom lane. But once the gank happened, bottom lane from Ambition, and he killed 2 members, nothing really RNG would do or could do on the map, because Mata wasn't on any sort of playmaker.
Yeah, and the unwillingness to go top lane, even when Looper time and time again had CuVee in kill positions, means that even though, you know, 158 is not a pretty scoreline out of CuVee, he was able to farm up, he was able to get into the mid-game team fights, and he was able to absolutely take over. And when he was in there laying down the CC, the damage dealers just were so impressive.
Yeah. And that's what we talk about so often. If one team spill a little bit of water, but if one team focuses on the bottom lane, either you're down there to counter it and match it, or you go to the other side and you make a play. But mlxg didn't go for this play on top side, and then when they got ganked bottom lane, it gave the entire advantage to Samsung. mlxg didn't impact any of the lanes, and when they actually tried to group and siege, they walked straight into a Skarner and died.
And that's the thing, is they made the choice to play for lane. Nami Caitlyn, super dominant 2-on-2. It's one of the very best lanes you can pick. Brings Ignite, saying, yeah, I could reduce Kennen's damage by 40%, or I could Ignite you and try to go for a kill in lane. Well, that never happened. Instead, the Kennen did full damage and just destroyed some team fights.
And you have to say, out of the Samsung lineup, that is a ballsy call to be able to, we're going to lock first rotation our duo lane We're going to do it for a lot of the utility it brings, and you can pick your Nami, you can pick your Caitlyn into it because we trust Ambition enough to ensure that he's going to get down there early and he's going to swing it back in our favor.
Yeah, they tried to pick a range matchup with some sort of CC, you know, land a snare from Karma, maybe from the Jhin, and then set up Ambition to come into that lane and make a play. And it worked for them, honestly. Samsung played really well in this game. RNG showed some big weaknesses. And it's going to be so funny because now all these top teams have actually shown bad games and great games.
Yeah, and you can look at them and start picking apart what makes them work, what makes them sort of fall apart here. Even talking about the Nidalee getting grabbed up and mlxg getting out jungled, so few teams are willing to give that over. Samsung says, yes, we will, so that we can secure the Karma, secure the Jhin, play the champs like their way, and those factors did work out. Ambition kept up with the most contested champion at Worlds.
Yeah, and this was a fear, you know, 1-3-1, get in RNG's head early and then pull them apart across the rift. How will they respond? And the answer in this game, poorly.
So, beautiful game now by Samsung Galaxy, tying once again in the first place. And now for a closer look at that decisive win, let's send it on to Shox, who's standing by with their